Hi, folks. Just giving it time to gear up. That's all. That's why if I get up here and I'm real quiet at first, I just like to see the damned stream actually get on the air before anything else. And that's what we're doing right now. I hope everybody's having a great week so far. Today is Wednesday, hump day for many people. Brandon 1351 is in the comments. So for him, he's already over the hump. It's Thursday for him. He's looking into Friday, you know. And I hope that everybody's having a wonderful week, or as a great a week as you possibly can, and that you're finding some sort of sanity in this world, in your life, and everything. For those of you who are new to the channel, and we have many new subscribers to the channel. As a matter of fact, before I got up, and it is still maintaining, about 15 minutes ago, the click went from 48.3 thousand subscribers to 48.4. Okay, and it's right on that thin line. So if we lost one, it would go down, but it'll secure itself here in the next few hours, for sure. And I want to welcome everybody who's watching me right now who are new viewers. You know, you saw one of my videos and you said, yeah, that sounds like the kind of stuff that I'd like to hear more about. Or maybe you saw one of my shorts and you subscribed there. Or you are a new subscriber because you tripped up on this stream. What is this stream? What is this channel? Well, the channel's name is Michael Noland, The Bottom Line. I'm Michael Noland. The stream is called the Tribal Forum, which is a bit different. I usually sign off my videos by saying, remember, folks, we are the tribe. What do I mean by that? By that, I mean that as a collective, whether we are right leaning politically, left leaning, or somewhere in between, whether we believe in this religion, that religion, or no religion, that doesn't matter. Whatever our philosophies are, can all be talked about within a very tight confine of classic rock for the most part. And that can go from anywhere from 1965 to 2005, but the channel often goes early into 50s rock, as well as covering bands that are out there doing it the right way even today. So that's kind of the push of the channel. The channel's mantra, as I have been, so eloquently corrected by my wife, it would be that, you know, over here, there ain't no good guys. There ain't no bad guys. There's only you and me, and we just disagree within that narrow confines of classic rock and roll. What's that, baby?
Flounder Gear Jam came in with a deuce
Oh my
hammer.
goodness. Oh, he swung a deuce hammer. $2. Thank you so much. Wow, he says, bam, deuce hammer for the tribe. Thank you, Gear Jam. You know, I always do a shout out, by the way, anybody who does this, we kind of hold the presses and read it. Boy, I'll tell you, on our last stream, Michael Boswell, uh, he actually reinvented the stream by his participation. And before I get on further, I do want to make some shout outs because I haven't been doing shout outs. I have to go back 3 streams to get all the shout outs of those of you who have given us super thanks. So bear with me really quickly here. And because this is what I also do. On the next stream, I also shout out any super thanks we get tonight. For example, was that Gear Jam that was in?
That was Gear Jam.
Gear Jam? Well, I'll shout him out on my next stream, right? And anybody else who follows suit. Well, these guys I didn't get to because we had problems with the stream. Our sound equipment went crazy. By the way, how is my sound tonight? Kimberly, look for anybody saying
Okay.
there's a problem with it or anything. We've been combating that, right?
Yeah.
So I always go back and I do this thing uh,
Sound is
by
great.
just our way of saying thank you. All right. So in the last three streams, these are the folks that have given us super thanks, and we want to thank each and every one of you. I'm just going to read you off real quick. I'm not going to stop here, except for at the very end, I may have to say one or two things. All right, we'll start with the oldest stream that did not get shouted out. Ben Scheidegger gave us a $5 super thanks. Oberheim, Brendan 1351, gave us a $3 super thanks. Ben Scheidegger gave us a $2 super thanks. And he followed that up with yet another Deuce Hammer, a $2 super thanks. The Four Horsemen, my good buddy Royce, $10. Ben Scheidegger was in again with $2, followed by Michael Boswell with two super thanks, one for $2, one for $5. And then Ben was back in with a $10 super thanks. My buddy Royce on the next stream, we're getting right down to the end here, gave us another $10, as did Michael Boswell, coming in with two $2 super thanks, one right after the other, and Deuces Wild, a $20 super thanks. Thank you so much. And then is this the last stream? Yeah, I think this is the last stream. Whole lot of input on the last stream. These are the folks that gave us super thanks on Sunday. Thank you so much. The Four Horsemen, again, my buddy Royce came in with a $10 super thanks. Storm Cop, James, my man, came in with a $20 super thanks. A big thank you to you, Storm Cop. 45 RPM was in with a $5 super thanks, followed by Michael Boswell. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 $5 super thanks, each with thought-provoking statements in them. And Michael and I went back and forth all night. And in the end, we found out that we probably agreed basically closer than we disagreed. We just have a couple of different ideas on AI in music. Hold on a second, baby. I'm almost done. Okay.
Carly came in. Awesome.
That was followed by Piccolina the Cat. Thank you, bud. I appreciate it, with a $5 super thanks. If you haven't seen his cat videos, you guys got to go over and see it. Piccolina is the star of the show. That's her and the little, his little bubble there. And then, like often, Joseph Blue came in at the very last minute with a $2 super thanks, swinging the Deuce Hammer. I want to thank you so much, Joseph. I certainly appreciate it. Now, did you have something to say, baby?
Oh, I was just going to say that Carly Coppola of Savaca just came in with a $5 super
Oh, did
thanks.
she?
And Royce in the House just came in with a $10 super
Oh my
thanks.
goodness. Well, could you read and speak up? We
sure
don't have
will.
Kimberly mic'd up. That's one of the issues we've been dealing with. We're trying to work around it. But Kimberly, if you could read Carly's, it's so good to see Carly, as well as you, Brother Royce. Royce and I have been talking. I left him about an hour's worth of info that I thought might be useful to him. So we've been talking all day. Kimberly, could you read,
Yes.
what is it, a $5 super thanks and then a
Yeah.
$10 from Royce?
Yeah.
Carly's $5 super thanks, thank you.
Yeah, Carly says those microphones better behave themselves tonight. Love you all, Michael, Kimberly, great mods, and impenetrable tribe. Amen, Carly. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Carly. We appreciate it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we've got our usual system disconnected. I'm using the microphone that I often use to shoot my regular videos. So that means that my off-screen co-host, my beloved wife, Kimberly, isn't mic'd up like she usually is, and we can have more of a one-on-one conversation with each other. We still fall into that. I'll just ask her to speak up, or if I think she's being too soft, I'll repeat what she says, okay? But she's as big a part of this show as I am, as you fine folks are. Okay, and then Royce came in with a $10.
Yeah, Royce says the tribe is my home, away from home. Oh, Royce, we feel the same way about you.
Well, he
brother.
knows I feel the same way, and I feel the
Amen,
same way about
amen.
his wonderful channel.
Oh, that's
I
so
think we put
nice.
together one of our finest shows on Sunday. If you haven't had a chance to go see that, you should see it. Okay? I thought it was an absolutely fabulous show. And you guys, I'm not even going to tell you what it's all about. Has nothing to do with what we're going to be talking about tonight. But let's just say that Royce is going down a bit of a, you could say, Americana bent in the last three streams that he did. And I thought there was only 3 out of the 4 horsemen up there, but we had such a great free exchange of dialogue and fun that if you haven't seen that, please go and see that. And I'll encourage all of my subscribers to subscribe to Royce. If there is a single brother channel on this channel and fellow tribesman, is Royce Eddings from the Four Horsemen. Okay, and the best way to do that is, I think it's the Four Horsemen, and then colon Royce Eddings, or Royce in the house, I think is how it's going right now, if you wanted to type it in. Okay, really great. So we finally, like I said, we hit the 48,400. We've gotten so many brand new people, and I was about ready to tell you that if you're new here, what is the Tribal Forum? Well, I've already kind of explained what the tribe is, haven't I? We come from all walks of life on every continent. I don't think I've got anybody in Antarctica yet.
Yeah.
So, sans, Antarctica, but we're worldwide. We're global. All right. Brandon 1351, I saw him in. Well, the reason it's Thursday for him is he comes from Australia, man. And we've got a large viewership in Australia, New
Australia.
Zealand, right?
Yeah.
So, and we've got a large following in England, Germany. We have Mediterranean viewers. We have South American, Mexican viewers. We have Central American viewers. I mean, we're all over the place. Hawaii, you name it. Japan. I mean, we've got a large reach. And so when I do my regular videos, I try to keep it more globally centric and everything, because I know the audience that I reach is a large, wide audience. And so when we do the Tribal Forum, what it is you guys doing what you're doing right now in the chat, for one
Oh
thing.
my goodness sakes.
What's that, babe?
Beast LVX just came in with a $10 super thanks. Oh, thank you so much, Beast.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, that's
Thank
so
you.
nice.
Oh,
These guys just really support this channel.
Oh,
God, we've got the best.
oh man, no kidding. Can you read Beast's comment
sure
for me?
can.
And you said that was a $10 super
Yeah.
thanks.
Beast
Wonderful.
says, Iron Maiden finally getting in the Hall of Shame. It's sad. I'm surprised they made it in because the organization sucks.
Yeah.
They will not show up their fans or their focus as they are on tour during it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I
Yeah.
agree.
Thanks,
with you.
Deuce. I appreciate that.
That is
And I agree, and that's going to be part of what we're going to be talking about tonight for sure. Okay. Another aspect of the Tribal Forum is this is my direct live connection with you. So you're not going to see me quite as polished as I am in my regular videos. And there is the flow of answering super thanks. We do that as we go along, right? We adapt, we bounce, but I've got a basic theme of what I want to talk about. And one of the things that you might be interested in if you are a new viewer, a new subscriber, we have what we call the Mount Rock Olympus Hall of Fame. And we have never been so busy. You go, we? What are you talking about, we, Michael? I'm saying everybody who's watching this right now, if you have participated in my polls, all right, you have been very involved in inducting new members into the Mount Rock Olympus Hall of Fame. Well, what is that? The Mount Rock Olympus Hall of Fame was through your demand. All I do is correlate the data. Okay, that's my job. I'm the secretary. Yes, boss. Dear sirs, and I type away. That's my whole role in this. Plus, I get first dibs on talking about whatever we're going to be talking about. That's kind of my role as Tribe Master here on the Tribal Forum. That's not a name I gave myself or a title I gave myself. That's a title that all you fine folks gave me. You were calling me that years before I ever started streaming. I thought it fit good for what we're trying to do. Tribe Master ain't in charge. Tribe Master just gets to speak first. It's kind of how this whole gig works, right? And other than that, I don't have any more power than what you guys think. The opinion of Michael Nolan, the bottom line, isn't Michael Nolan's bottom line. It's the comments on my videos and the streams. And if you're watching this later, you know, and by the way, folks, if you haven't done so yet, give the stream a thumbs up. If we hit 50 while I'm still streaming, we go to a larger audience. Often we'll gain new viewers and even subscribers by doing that. And the larger the tribe gets, the more impact it has on this planet. All right? There is just under 50,000 of us right now who are attached, all right, officially to the tribe. All right? We're getting really close to the 50,000 mark, 48,400. We need 1,600 more. And then we reach that monumental level that I never thought in my wildest dreams that this channel would achieve on YouTube. I'll be real flat out honest with you on that. Never thought it would happen. So keep all of that in mind. And this Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, I've done videos on it. I've announced what's been going on. We just got through, well, it's been a while now, from our last poll, inducting, and the next poll I believe is going to be on bass players, if I recall. And there will be a multi-part list of bass players that you can vote on who you feel should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. All right, rock basses. We're not looking for jazz basses. They have to have had performed or made a difference in the rock arena. That does not mean that you won't see Jaco Pastorius on the list, because there are some basses out there that affected rock and roll, and Stanley Clarke would be one. Okay? And then we're going to take, if it's like the one I had before, it's usually like anywhere from a 20 to 26 part poll. Let's say it's 20. Okay? There will be 4 basses in that poll that you can vote on. And the top 2 vote getters in each part of 4 basses will be inducted. So just to get on the list, okay, I want to start hearing from you people. You know, not only give me a thumbs up, but leave a thing in the comment, put somebody's name and say, my choice bass player, or bass player, my bass player would be, and put it out there. Kimberly, tonight, could you look for that?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so the early birds will have quite a bit of power on who's going to get on the list. Okay, then it goes to the poll, and they either remain nominees who could be put on a later list, or they will be the 2 inductees. And we'll usually get anywhere from 10 to, what was it, 10 to 14? Is that how it works? 20, if you do 20. Yeah, 10 to 12 new bass players. And then we have a whole system where you become multi-inductees. And one of our viewers came up with the basic idea of that, and that's Divining Dragon. And we have a multi-tiered thing. For example, in the one of the first bands ever inducted into the Mount Rock Olympus Hall of Fame was Led Zeppelin. Well, guess what? I'll just use one of them for a quick example. Well, Jimmy Page was also nominated as one of the top 25 guitarists. So he got a nomination there and there. That meant he went from, what was it, silver, bronze, I guess it's bronze, and then to silver there. But the Yardbirds were nominated. He was a member of them. So he went to gold right there. In the future, if we get down to nominating great producers, okay, I can guarantee you my nomination will be Jimmy Page just for his production of Led Zeppelin alone. I think he's one of rock's best producers. But if you, that's all. I might be able to get him on the list unless you guys vote him off. We go through that process as well, right? But if you guys don't vote for him, he ain't going nowhere. But if you guys concur, let's say you did and he got that nomination, he would be a platinum Mount Rock Olympus Hall of Fame winner. And we've already got several in the gold. And as we get on into this poll and everything in the next few weeks and everything, in the next week or two, I'd say, maybe in the next week to 10 days, okay? So not every stream will be about this, but I might spend a small portion updating you and everything as we go through, and then we'll dedicate a whole stream to the results. Okay, and I'll get you guys all up to date on who's in the Mount Rock Olympus Hall of Fame and for what. Okay, so tonight when we're going to be talking about the Mount Rock Olympus, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, I want you to keep in mind the whole idea of this, and this is what has very organically come from the stream, the tribal forum. It was right here on the stream that you guys encouraged me to do this. It was right here on the stream when you wouldn't shut up and let me forget about it. You knew I didn't want to do it, and you kept, oh, we need to do this, and we got some ideas. And so we put that in. And why did we do that? That is because of the deplorable shape of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And if you've been on my channel for any amount of time and have gone back, I have a playlist on my videos on the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I have been a critic of the the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame since pretty much the inception of this channel. And in the last 2 to 3 years, with John Sykes, their new CEO, being on the scene, I will remind you, John Sykes was put in place personally by who? Jan freaking Winter, former editor to the Rolling Stone magazine, okay, goes way back, and the former CEO to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. All right, big power player. And he fell out of favor because he did a book that interviewed, I think it was 4 rockers, and none of them were women, none of them were black, and some PC reporter, I would have just told him, I just chose 4 people I like, I don't have an answer, but he couldn't keep his mouth shut. And so his response, and I'm just paraphrasing the response, was that, well, women rockers and black rockers aren't very eloquent. And he needed a better ilk of rocker for his book. Or at least that's certainly how it came off. And he fell heavily out of favor. And before he was actually voted off the island of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, he already had his minions in place, and he already had his minions in place prior to any problems here with the nominating committee. Okay? Every year since John Sykes has been on the scene, he has tinkered with his explanation as he introduces this year's nominees, you know, or he gets an interview. He gets interviewed around the subject of this year's nominees, and he always comes off, and it usually winds up on their website, his new explanation as to what is rock and roll. At the beginning of this, because I heavily criticized him, he hyper explained that I forget which, it may have been LL Cool J, and he went to him and said, "You're being nominated into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame." And LL Cool J, if it was him, said it was a rapper, said, "I'm not a rocker. Why would I want to be over there? Can't stand rock, hate rock, you know?" So he explained to him, "Yeah, well, there's a good reason, you know, if you accept it is. I mean, it's going to do your career real good. It gives you street cred with the rock and roll, you know, crowd." Well, the dumb shit rock and roll crowd, I guess it did, baby.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Well,
there's always a bunch of dumb shits in the crowd,
of course there is.
you know,
That
that'll
have
believe
an
anything.
agenda.
Yeah, I got
Yeah.
some magic beans. I want to sell those folks.
Yeah.
But, you know, that was his reasoning. And then he says, "But you don't," he says, "but I'm still not rock and roll. I don't, there's nothing in rock and roll that really inspired me. I have my own sound." You know, him and about 1,000 others that sound pretty much like him. And that's not me. And then John Sykes goes back and says, "No, you don't understand. I hope this is LL Cool J. This sure sounds like it should be." I covered it. I'll give you the right person at the right time if you go to my playlist under the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And you might have to go back 1 or 2 years, but just look at the titles and sample them if you're new viewers, and that'll catch you up. This has all been organic, okay? So he goes, "No, you don't understand." And this is where I get less clear as I remember it, so I'm going to make up this part, but it followed this same freaking logic. He says, you see, LL, you told me that your favorite aunt used to be raising her grandchild because the mother died, and the grandchild used to listen to rock radio in those days, and she rather liked some of it, and you come from that root that, you know, made your parents, and your parents made you. See, you are organically attached to rock and roll. No, I'm serious. I'm not lying. I'm not lying to you. That's how he thinks people should be recommended into the Mount Rock Olympus, or never, into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And so what we do over here with the Mount Rock Olympus Hall of Fame is I am the gatekeeper. There will be no Mariah Carey on the Mount Rock Olympus Hall of Fame. I won't put her on a list. That's the other thing, a bit of power that I do have.
Oh,
Okay.
fun.
And there are certain people that I'm fans of that won't be on that list. I've got to be, oh man, one of the biggest Johnny Cash fans on the planet. And if anybody's lived a rock and roll lifestyle, certainly was Johnny Cash. He was the one I was tempted to put on for consideration, the one gold star guy that isn't quite rock and roll, okay? He's country, and I love good country. And I love Johnny Cash. I love Willie Nelson. He ain't getting on our list either. No Dolly Parton. You guys know some of my earliest videos on the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame came out of the Dolly Parton debacle. Remember that? Oh, shuckums, no, not me. Well, I'm not no rock and roller, you know. And then who talks to her? John Sykes. Backends her the same way he did LL Cool J. And she didn't even make it through a week. And she's, yeah. I'm honored to accept it. And by the way, I got a new album coming out called Rockstar. And Dolly Parton is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. All right? We've got a ton of people that are in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame that don't belong there. Now, does that mean they're not worthy of being in the Hall of Fame? Not at all. They're worthy to be in the Hall of Fame, just not the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Why? When did we get to the point where, well, I know when we got to the point. It's when certain groups of people demand to take over the English language and make certain phrases and words now represent this instead of that, which happens organically enough through many decades anyway. But to do it all overnight and everything and all of that. So what we're getting is a weakened sense about everything. Nothing can be called a this or a that anymore, folks. Those days, some hope, are over forever. And so part of the thing is homogenizing everything. Okay? No definite boundaries between anything anymore. It's all wing and a prayer crap, if you think about it. And if you look at my title of tonight's stream, it's The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame Continues to Shovel Crap at Us. Now, everybody's talking about, and I'm going to get over there because I couldn't remember this group of people to save my life. So I've got a screenshot that I'll be referring to here. And everybody's all going, phew, Iron Maiden made it. And Billy Idol, he's good. Phil Collins is cool. It's a good year. I've seen articles start off, the very first freaking paragraph in the article is 2026 is turning in to be a very good year for purists who have criticized recent nominations of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Have you guys read those articles? I bet you have. Right? This is a good year. And compared to past years, I guess it is. But in my viewpoint, that just means that if good is size, then you got this over here was yesteryear, and this is a big mound over here. In other words, you got a bigger pile of dog shit. Now, why do I say that when there's more rockers, it seems like, in line to get it than other years that you've criticized, Michael? It's not just the ones that survived. How many times have they shoved Mariah Carey down our throat? She didn't make it. Again, third time in a row, right? Wasn't it 3 times, baby?
Yeah.
I think it was 3 times,
so.
3 years in a row, shoving Mariah Carey, because it'll give her street cred with the rock crowd, or at least the dumb shits in the rock crowd. Let's face it, if you're a dumb shit and you think you're a rocker, you probably aren't, and you never were. Okay, there are rules, regulations, identifiers, a lot of stuff, a lot of drama, bands stealing from another art form and poorer artists in order to create new music that was, you would think on the surface, I'm talking about Led Zeppelin, right? On the surface, that would make them one of the villains of rock and roll. But it was so prevalent doing that. There wasn't the Yardbirds before them did it. So did every other white band out of England, especially, it seemed like, did that. Rewriting old blues standards, giving them an up-tempo and making them rock classics, and then claiming they wrote them. Okay, so, and then we had payola early on. So we've had times where rock and roll and its identity came into question. When we got in the 50s, who was it? Jerry Lee Lewis marrying his 14-year-old cousin, Chuck Berry doing Time, right? A lot of the black rock and rollers, I mean, Royce just did a stream, and I would have to concur with him. You know, it's not necessarily Elvis as being the king of rock and roll as it's freaking Chuck Berry. There is an argument for that, folks. He wrote his songs. He played guitar on his songs. He sang his songs. And his riffs are part of every freaking rock and roll guitar player's vocabulary. And his bass guitarist riffs are part of every bass guitar's vocabulary. In other words, he provided us with the building blocks, not only the building blocks, but he made his shape out of them and said, that's rock and roll. That's rock and roll. So when they got out of favor, and people can say and there's always the music industry. Remember, no matter what the incarnation of the music industry as a whole, the record companies, the critics, the magazines, the TV shows, the rock and roll freaking Hall of Fame, all of them. It doesn't matter what they say or do. Rock and roll is rock and roll, and you either are rock and roll or you're not. And here's the problem with every thing that I see. Nobody wants to call an ace anymore. Because that means that 7 of clubs, right? That 7 of clubs is a little too far out of the sequence for that ace of hearts to do that guy any favors unless some surprises are dealt. And we got some surprises tonight, didn't we? Or this year. Now, why haven't I been covering this like when this came out? As you guys know, we had some problems with the stream going on, and there were some huge stories I was covering there, and I always knew I could get back to this anytime, and I was having fun making more positive videos, to tell you the truth. And especially since we dealt with AI, I want everybody to know, when we're talking about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, I'll read it. I'll read it for you so you understand. And I usually do not try to do 2 streams in a row that talk about more negative aspects. All right? I really don't like that. I don't want the stream to become a Debbie Downer by any stretch of the imagination, but I was already late in covering this story live on the air since the list finally came out. And I have a list called The Unholy 10 Killers of Classic Rock. AI is one. We just talked about that Sunday. You haven't seen that stream. You got to go see it. Michael Boswell and I go to town and in the end agreed more than we disagreed. Okay? Number 2 on that 10 list is the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Lip syncing and using backing tracks is number 3. High concert ticket prices. And we now see, and we haven't even begun to cover that other than me mentioning it, that at least in one court case, we'll see how powerful that decision and rendering goes, but that Live Nation has been found guilty of being a monopoly because they're tethered directly and own Ticketmaster, and the 2 of them were pretty much responsible for the majority of concerts on planet Earth and what they could charge for it, their dynamic pricing. All of that is a sham. And they're the biggest bunch of con artists on the planet. It's good to see some of that. Touring with no new material. Bands that just go out and become jukeboxes. I guess some of you are going to be more forgiving about that to me. I come from the generation, it's not just what you've done for us before. We want to hear those things. Royce thinks that I don't want to hear the hits sometimes, I think. I love the hits. But especially these days when a band goes out and tours and often can put on a 2.5 hour show, okay, you got plenty of time for the hits and to cover most of your newest album. I want to hear new material. I want to hear them live, all right? And I want to see them live after I've lived with the album a bit. So I want them to tour that brand new material. Not every one of you agree with me on that. Bands who tour with very few or no original members. I think it's bad for rock. It's what is happening with rock. Bands are becoming brands, right? And what we'll have is, you know, pretty soon one day, John Bon Jovi's great granddaughter doing Bon Jovi 9, right? And everybody will, en masse, just be hypnotized into thinking, hey, Margaret, everything's fine. Well, it's been the same as it's always been. And I don't think that's where we're going at all. Number 7, political preaching at paid per views. I'm not paid venues. I said per views on one of my recent streams, and I meant venues, and I did it just now. I'm not against rock and rollers having their say about politics at all. We all have rights, Maynard, I always say, right?
Yep.
Everybody can say what they want. If they're being interviewed and somebody asks them a political question, you know, answer. Go for it, Teddy. I don't care. All right? If you must, Don, go ahead. Roger, I don't care, kid. You know? No problems with that. You want to go to, and I stress, free political rally and offer your services in support of the cause, go for it. People don't have to be there. Nobody paid to get in, the ones that aren't paid. Now political rallies are selling tickets. See where it goes, folks? So I see these things. These are the things. This is how I procure the essential elements of what is rock and roll, and I try to provide that viewpoint from what I do, based on what I know, and I'm not one for rewriting history to be more politically correct, which is what the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame does. 8, I'm dead set against residencies. I've told you before, this is where old rockers go to die. They're old homes for the old rockers. There they are, you know. All right, what's today's activities? Oh, golf at 10. Oh, that's good. Wheel me out there, Mildred. I want to go do the golf thing, you know. Oh, luncheon. Oh, that's good. Take my meds. Yes, yes, yes. All right, what are we going to do? We're going to the community center, right? Oh, wow. What's a community center? Well, everybody gets to participate. And tonight, it just so happens to be your turn. Live, the Eagles. And are they even live? Because a lot of people are lip syncing, aren't they, Don? Aren't they, Don? And how many of you are even playing your instruments anymore? And then there's that group of rockers that are just so big, but they're not doing anything new. They're just touring the hits, touring the hits, touring the hits, touring the hits, latching on to a band's name often because they have no original members. But I'm talking about the ones that do, but offer us no new material, and that bottlenecks because they're going to be the main attraction going on, and the newer talent will be relegated if they're lucky to open up for them, but probably playing, you know, 5 blocks away on the pole side of the town, you know, on another off night, say Wednesday at midweek or whatever, while certain bands bottleneck the entire thing. These are things I don't like, and I don't like censorship in rock. I'm not for that at all. I am for people using their common sense and not fall for everything. I'm not a big advocate for the word, the N word, all right? You're not going to find me thinking that's a good word to use, whether you're black, white, or purple, or polka dotted, okay? I don't like that. I don't like censorship. Besides, if we had censorship, you know, you would have never had John Lennon say, until you're so fucking crazy you can't follow their rules, because that would have not been acceptable. All right. Now, radio stations would later go, well, we're not playing that. Well, they have a right not to play people's music, right? Except now we've got the industry and its tentacles into the radio stations, the few that are left, okay? And they are so pre-programmed, they got the same, I'd say 100 songs, but yeah, that's even a broader, 25 of those will get played on the weekend, late at night, early in the morning. And then you've got the 75 songs that they just play over and over and over. That's why I had problems with Avatar shows. I've changed my mind on that a bit, but I don't want to get into that too much. But anything that keeps it same old, okay? It's the Pirates of the Caribbean, folks, right? Except for new laser effects and stuff every 10 to 15 years. It's kind of the same thing still. You go down, then you go down. Oh, look at this, lots of robotic activity. No, now they've got lasers, but it's kind of the same thing, right? But at least with Pirates of the Caribbean, you got lasers. A lot of these bands, these ongoing things, there's no new music. It's the same old Pirates of the Caribbean that we all knew when we were children. No updates, the original one. And the original one was great, okay? But how many times can you go on it and still be thrilled? Thrills in rock and roll are not just experienced by great performances. Thrills are discovering new music, or at least that used to be part of the quotient. That used to be, it was like an unsaid rule, Yeah, we want new stuff. What's their new album? When is their new album coming out? That thing's about 9 months old, It's getting a little long in the tooth. Oh, I heard they're going to be that was part of the scuttlebutt. That's the rock and roll group that John Sykes keeps talking about. They don't exist anymore unless you're from the older group. And what's the most critical group that criticizes the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? It's the older group. People in their 40s, I'd say, they're starting to get a little critical of it, going, well, wait a minute. Now they've got some life experience. They're not closer to teens than they are to 30 anymore, right? And they get a little critical. But, it's ones in their 50s, 60s, 70s, been around a while. And we just know there's a better way. It's all involving, all right? Things that keep you at a distance or non-disclosed or non-identified so that they can throw anything your way is for them to get away with that is them capturing us. And I'll say, and the reason I say that is they've got the collective us into actually saying this, and maybe some of you have already said it in the comments tonight. Look, it's just a TV show, Michael. Good Lord, get off of it. All right, it's just a dumb awards thing. It's just some museum, Things evolve, son. Why, I can show you songs in rock and roll that a lot of rock and roll folk won't agree is really rock and roll. But it got a lot of airplay and people just kind of accept that song and or that artist. It's kind of rock and roll. I'll give you an example of somebody I think is very rock and roll. I'll talk about him. I've talked about him before. But I know he's not, scientific rock and roll. And I would have no problem with him being in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame or in the Mount Rock Olympus Hall of Fame. And many of you are going to go, that makes you a hypocrite. And that would be, oh God, I had his name. I was trying to explain it so carefully. And what's going on? Marvin Gaye. Now, I don't give a damn what Marvin Gaye recorded before he did the What's Going On album. It's the What's Going On album, still soul driven, but was so freaking rock and roll by what it discussed and the way it discussed it, the sentiments of what he was talking about discussed it. We're talking about lots of stuff. You can feel the turmoil of the 60s that 99% of the time you will put in documentaries of the 60s. It gets to the point where you're seeing Flower Children at Golden Gate Park. You're going to have a rock band in that soundtrack. Good Lord, anything on What's Going On could go right into that same documentary and it would fit. That identifies it as rock and roll enough for me. So it's not like I'm saying nobody from other quadrants can join, but there has to be more than just one snake of an identifier. And I just gave you about 10 from that album alone. To me, it's one of rock's maybe top 10 albums. I might rank it in the top 10. Haven't given it much thought, but it has that much respect from me. Marvin Gaye.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, but we're not getting Marvin Gaye, are we? You know, we're getting rap and hip hop artists, or we're getting people that I'll bet you 10 to 1, 98% of you, maybe 99% of you, didn't know a damn thing about them. I know I didn't. I'm a little bit keyed in to the music industry and what's going on, the people, the happenings, a little bit. I'm no expert. I've got my areas of expertise. And then there's the broader one. We're going to be talking about a band I can't speak a whole lot about except that I've heard their music and I like it when I hear it, but I never went out and actually bought it. And that's Iron Maiden. But I have nothing but respect for the band. It's a great band and everything. But my knowledge beyond Bruce Dickinson kind of fades, you know. But I am aware of what they have said, who said it and why, and we're going to talk about that tonight. That'll be the hardcore of this entire thing, all right? But where are we now? What have we got? We've got Mariah Carey jammed down our throats 3 years in a row. We also got Billy Idol for 2 years, and I believe he made it, okay? Well deserved. I liked him right from the get-go. Loved Billy Idol. Deserving. I could think of at least 15, 20 bands that I would have put in before him. And mainly, I think he deserves to be in now, but because of the horrible job they did then, maybe he needs to be put in later because of what they did then. All the bands that have been ignored that should have been in before Billy Idol on any list, before Phil Collins as a lead singer solo artist on any list. There are other people who have been ignored who had that kind of input, but they were ignored so long, people are starting to forget them. Only the oldest artists. And a lot of times, a lot of us older people go, now who did that? Now who did that song? Now and 20 years ago we would have gone, well, you know, that was Zager and Evans. All right? That's who did that song. We know that right off, you know? And collectively, the rock group, you know, the right rock group, you know, the rock group that knows a thing or two, you know, we would know certain things about, you know, a goodly portion. Sorry about that, Brandon. A goodly portion of what rock had to offer in general, because there are wide swaths and there are many subgenres to rock and roll. So I'm not trying to pigeonhole it down to you gotta have Chuck Berry, it's gotta have a 1-4-5 progression, or it ain't rock and roll to me. No, not at all. There's room for all kinds of side examples, okay? But I don't give a shit whether Wu-Tang has a bass player and a guitar player up there. They don't have no fucking drummer. And they got a DJ up there. And we know what style of music that is. I don't see them as rock and roll at all. The stuff I've heard and everything. Okay? Now, are they talented? Yeah. I don't dig that kind of music, but listening to it, I go, yeah, there's a lot of talent there, I guess. You know. But to me, rap is almost like a house of ill repute. Tempting, but you only get into trouble going over there. But, that's me. That's my generation. All right. You're too old, Nolan. You just can't ever learn to like rap. What's rap? First of all, what's rap? And who did it first? Where did it really come from? Without reinventing and rewriting history. Okay? And then where did rock and roll come from? Two don't mix. Despite the fact that you'll hear content creators say, oh, yes, they do. Of course, they graduated from the John Sykes University of, identifying, markers to tear down and mystify what they're experts on. Right before your eyes. That's what they do. The hocus pocus and all of that. Here's what I do know. Can't we agree on what isn't rock? I listen to Mozart. I hear a lot of melodies and things and stuff that from other bands in rock that would take and be inspired of Mozart, but that doesn't make Mozart rock and roll. Less firm am I about Bach. He's almost proto-prog. Some of his stuff is anyway, but not enough for me to quite go there even. Although, boy, what an outlier Bach was. So we know that's not rock and roll. Or most of us, I think, I would hope at this point. Otherwise, I'm just spitting in the wind. I'm tugging on Superman's cape, baby.
Yep.
But, we know that's not rock, okay? Country western, okay? Now, country's gone through a lot of changes. And a lot of rock has come in. In rock and roll, we have country rock. I'm comfortable with that. I like country. I like good country. A lot of country stars that I love, and I want to see them in the Country Hall of Fame. All right? What an honor. But in order to keep the genre of rock and roll alive, it's got to be at least able to be identified. They're trying to turn this into the biggest, I don't know. A lot of you would say, Michael, I just wish they would just call it the Music Awards instead of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Just call them the Music Awards. And everybody, I'd be fine with that. I'd shut up about it. I have no problem with that. Why don't they? Huh? Think about it. Why don't they? Because there's money in them, there are hills. Because people can identify what real rock is. Because if you can achieve the same award that freaking Jimmy Page and Led Zeppelin has got, the same award that the Beatles have gotten, the same award that the Rolling Stones have gotten, Pink Floyd, whoa! If you can be cuddled in the very nest that they have achieved, you're somehow better than you were before. It's just a different subgenre, people. But you want to make it everything. I want to get over to this portion that I saved. I hope it's the one I got here. Regarding the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and who's up and everything. And they've got the silliest thing in the world. Their interactive thing is bullshit. Anyway, It doesn't make for good notes. And I didn't have time to take intricate notes for tonight's stream, folks. So I'll have to make do with this. But the one thing I was glad to see on this website was right up at the top, in memoriam, Dave Mason. And I've got to tell you, rest in peace, Dave Mason. I had only one of his solo albums, and that album was his. Let me grab it here real quick. See, I may not be able to get it up big enough for you guys to see. Let's see. Yeah. No, but here's a small little, there you go. That's his album. All right. That was the one album besides his work with Traffic that I had, Let It Flow. And of course, that had the song We Just Disagree. And as I said at the beginning of my stream tonight, that's almost the mantra of the tribe, man. You know, there ain't no good guys here. There ain't no bad guys. There's just you and me, and we disagree sometimes, right? I love this song. I took those words to heart. It was at a real corner. I was at a corner in my life where I could have taken a right or a left or continue to go straight. And this song was out, and it really affected me. I love this song, right? He also wrote Feeling All Right, which most people, is it Joe Cocker who did that one? Had the big hit on that baby. Feeling all right, right?
Yeah.
And it's interesting because everybody will sit there while that's being played at a concert. Yeah, feeling all right. That's not what the song's all about. Song is actually titled, Joe Cocker dropped the question mark. The full title was Feeling All Right? It was a question. That was the title of the song. I'm not feeling too good myself. Oh, wait a minute. Okay? So a lot of people, the headbangers out there, and it's like, no. But that energy, the way that version of the song was, you almost can forgive them because it has that drive, right? And I have no trouble with that. I can hyper focus on one set of lyrics that means totally opposite of the rest of the song. I have no trouble with that at all, right? And then he also wrote Only You Know and I Know, another staple of.
Oh, yeah, those were beautiful.
Yeah.
Just very, you can relate. It's
right.
Just so relatable.
Yeah, just absolutely great songs. So that was the one solo album. Then his work with Traffic. And, he got in there. They recorded their first album. And then he quit before it was even released. But, of course, he was on the album, right? And then they went into the studio to record their second album. And they asked him to return. He came back and recorded their second album. I think that's when he went bye-bye finally. And then they started going back. Now, when I go to Apple Music, which is my streaming service, and you look up Traffic, they don't have anything on Traffic that has to do with Dave Mason. I wonder why. Well, I just read an interview where Dave Mason said that one of the things, the reasons that he was only on the first two albums is that the other three members, Steve Winwood being the major ones, but the other members were Evans and Capaldi, and they were all together, and they came to him. They asked for a meeting, and they said, "We want you to leave the band. We don't like your music. We want you out of the band. We don't want to play your music." They were that direct with him. He was gone. And he said part of the problem was that a lot of his material on those first two albums got more airplay than who? Steve Winwood. And Steve Winwood didn't like that. Of course, Steve Winwood could craft a great pop song as well, right? And the two of them were better together, but they were oil and vinegar and couldn't work. So Dave moved into what I consider more of a middle of the road. It seemed like who he was trying to sell against was like acts like, and I like good pop acts, but pop rock acts. And it seemed like he kind of saddled himself. There's some experimentalism on that album. He does, and he's got a wide palette in style to style to style, from song to song to song. Not unlike McCartney, not quite as wide a palette as McCartney, but he was competing against Wings in those days. He was competing against Little River Band, okay, Bread, before them, and there were those real middle of the road acts, and the money for hits, radio hits, was really focused on that. And I don't think, with the exception of We Just Disagree, he had a lot of success in that. I think We Just Disagree only got to number 12. So it didn't even quite crack the top 10. I'd still give my left, see, self-censorship right there, to have a number 12 hit. Okay, your top 20 hits. If you just played all the top 20 hits of every year and you just heard them, you'd be hard and fought to identify which were the number ones, which were number 18, and what was number 3 versus, they all kind of sound like number 1 hits to, rock fans who came out of that era, don't you think? So it was good to see what they did with Dave Mason. Now it talks about the class of 2026 as if they're a damn university or something like that. Let me make sure I got all these. Yeah, Queen Ed O'Sullivan. Okay, so who made it? That's the one I want to know, because these are the inductees. Let's see. There must be, let's see what they got. Inductees. Let's go here. Class of 2026. Yeah. Okay. Okay, good. Good. Got the right list. Sorry, folks. I had the list that included those who were also nominated. So tonight, what we're getting in the class, oh, and by the way, we've talked about the fan vote for all of this, right? The fan vote didn't go your way on a lot of these people. All right, top fan vote getters aren't on this list, or a couple of them aren't. They did real well with the fan votes, and they still didn't get on this list. We talked about how that happened last year and the year before. And remember, when you participate in the fan vote there, you participate in a fan vote here for the Mount Rock Olympus Hall of Fame, I might get usually anywhere from 1,000 to 1,500 votes per section of a multi-part poll. That's you getting at least 1 in 1,000th chance of affecting that. They have, what was the number that I said? It was 250,000 people voting for this at one point, and all of that goes to one ballot out of over 1,200 ballots, 1 in 1,200. And that's the collective thought. That's not you. That's what all you guys voted for, right? And these guys, these 1,199 other ballots, can tell your ballot to go itself.
Yeah.
Right? So that's how much control you have over it. So as I read this list and your favorite didn't get on and you remember them doing real well in the vote, I told you before, don't expect that, And when they do choose the fans' votes, it's because it has become either a political football for them to deny it, or it's such a blatant oversight on their part, and the fan responses there are usually rock articles written by rock writers criticizing it, and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And then they might give a nod or at least look at your one ballot twice before telling you, rip it up and go sit in the corner, puppy dog. Mr. Fan to see. Dave Mason reference. Okay, or at least traffic. All right, so their inductees this year is Phil Collins, Linda Creed, Celia Cruz, Billy Idol, Iron Maiden, Joy Division / New Order, Fela Kuti, Arif Mardin, I hope I'm not totally wrecking these words, McLight, Jimmy Miller, Oasis, Graham Parsons. Wait a minute. Okay, Graham Parsons. Well, get back to where you were. Okay. Let me get back here. Queen Latifah, Rick Rubin, Sade, Ed Sullivan, Luther Vandross,
Oh, I
and
love Luther Vandross. Now, I love his music.
yeah, I think he's a great singer.
So, yeah.
When I was in the
Such
mood,
a smooth,
yeah,
beautiful voice.
yeah. When I listened to, like I used to buy George Benson albums,
Yeah, me too.
so
Yeah.
I like that. I like
love
that.
George Benson.
I didn't think I was listening to rock and roll.
I love
bought those albums.
Smokey Robinson's
Yeah.
voice too.
But I never thought for a second I was listening to a rocker
Yeah.
when I
yeah.
listened to Luther Vandross.
No, well, I guess you would call it soft rock.
Mhm.
I think that's what they called it.
Soft rock?
Back then, they called it soft rock. Yeah. Because it was more romantic.
Well, I'll tell you what it was. It was it was middle of the road, adult contemporary, which a lot of bands like the Eagles and everything. See, I didn't grow up on that kind of radio, baby.
I know, huh?
All right.
Well,
You see, they've done radio subsidiaries of whatever, adult contemporary.
you remember KFRC?
Who played anything from
They
the
played rock
Candyman
and
can,
soft rock
right?
And pop.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
to Whole Lot of Love by Led Zeppelin.
yeah.
Yeah, they played the gambit, but
They sure
but on those stations now they're owned by hip hop and rap and mainly hip hop
there
these
was
days, and some that identify themselves slightly out of hip hop but are pop people, and I can't keep up with how they identify themselves.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, the radio stations seem to label, the music like soft rock. Or
Well, adult
pop
contemporary was just another way for them to lay claim for greater success after, the Eagles never had to worry about where, Timothy B. Schmidt wrote a song on one of their later albums and it got to number 12 in adult contemporary. And that's like adult wearing a diaper,
Go
baby.
into the record store and they had the sections labeled under rock, hard rock, or pop. They labeled the sections, and so it became known.
Well, actually, I'm glad you brought that up because even today, go to your local record store, and you're not seeing Luther Vandross in the rock area.
No, I think they
even the stupid record stores know better than that.
Yeah, romantic rock.
Right?
Pop.
Wait, no, but why did they do that? Is it because they are smart and can lift heavy crates of records?
They did it because that was what do you call it? The corporation.
No.
Money. It was all about money.
No, it's them trying to reach the average consumer, the consensus consumer, the conglomerate consumer, because they know most people know Luther Vandross ain't a rock and roller and they're not going to be looking for his shit at a record store in rock. They're going to go over to...
But the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame that we all love so well, laugh out loud, there is no other rock hall of fame for soft rock, or there's even country rock, or rockabilly. And,
yeah.
So where do they go? I mean, if Dolly Parton can be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, I mean, that's a laugh. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know how they ever decided to put her in the.
I'm trying to remember it. Do I have that one up here? There was let me
Well,
see.
hey, Stephen McGeaney said Luther Vandross worked with David Bowie on his Young Americans LP and covered Stephen Stills' "Love the One You're With," and Stills loved Vandross cover. So I'm good with him in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame,
Mm-hmm.
he says.
Yeah.
And I am too, because there is no other category.
You know who else worked with David Bowie?
Who?
If we got to have Luther Vandross, Bing Crosby.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
So Bing Crosby in next, buddy?
No, but
I don't know. You
where,
guys tell
where
me.
do they go? Where
Huh?
does their music go?
Like I said, I don't care. It's not in my concern. I'm into rock, baby.
I know, but I love a lot of different genres.
Mm-hmm.
And so
So do I, as you well know.
I
don't like just rock and roll.
But since country has its own Hall of Fame,
Mm-hmm.
you know, the Country Music Hall of Fame, uh, I I I want to keep that separate. Like, I wouldn't put Dolly Parton in the rock and roll. She's already in the Country
Yeah.
Hall of Fame.
What about Pat Boone?
I love some of his music, but I wouldn't consider him rock.
Well, do you know that most rock historians will say he's one of the exact artists that they put out on purpose to block off black artists? It was his hit. Oh, Rudy, tooty dooty, tooty dooty. Oh, boy, that guy was so square.
I don't know about their
You know?
politics on it.
All right, so anyway, he does isn't it Pat Boone that also did the, he even went to the point of doing a heavy metal album? Is Pat Boone next?
Yeah. Well.
Or is he what most, do you think they've got Pat Boone records in the rock section at the record store down the street, baby? Or do you think maybe he's in the crooner section?
Yeah.
Big band, singers, that type of section.
Yeah.
What do you think? Where would you go to look if you liked Pat Boone? Where would you go? Would you go to the L section in rock and find him somewhere next to Led Zeppelin because he once did a series of recordings? Was it a joke?
Well, I think that they will label his music. I don't think we have to worry about it. But I wouldn't put him exactly in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, of course.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't.
And then some of these awards, to me, I don't know. We'll see how the Mount Rock Olympus Hall of Fame goes, because I would like to put producers in. But Ed Sullivan, there's no doubt, as far as rock and roll history goes, I mean, just him having Elvis and the Beatles on alone, those two things, he is a cornerstone in history. Right?
Yeah.
But he was also a guy that told the Doors, what was that? What song? What word did they not want? It was on "Light My Fire," and couldn't get much higher.
Yeah.
And
it was a inferred drug.
Right, and so Jim Morrison went ahead and said couldn't get much higher. Right on. And they were never invited back. Ed Sullivan didn't want that. So what? We've got a a bit of censorship if you look deep into Ed Sullivan's history, he was quite well known to censor what was on his show. Of course, it was his show.
That's right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and they did agree to come on there and.
But why would the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, in turn, after his censorship, see, he has that right to censor his own show. Right. But why would a real Rock and Roll Hall of Fame honor him after there are more than just one or two horror tales about how rockers were treated on that show?
It shouldn't be censored like that.
Yeah.
They already put censoring on albums.
Yeah.
Parental guidance or whatever.
Historically, even as far as rock and roll goes, Ed Sullivan's importance.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah, a lot of he gave them exposure.
Right.
For sure. Yeah.
But does his importance way, some would say, the damage that he did, certainly to the performers, one way or another.
No, I didn't have a problem with him
Yeah.
censoring it.
Yeah.
No, because like you said, it's his show, and if it's family friendly or whatever, you know, there was a lot of Christians that tried to censor, you know, that
Yeah.
wanted things censored.
Yeah.
So you had, I think, a healthy mix.
Yeah.
Nowadays, oh my goodness, with cancel culture and all that, I think it's just gone crazy.
Yeah.
It's just gone crazy. There's no standards.
I hear you.
know?
Well, what about Sade?
Sade definitely should. Yes.
She should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Oh, yeah.
I see her as
Yeah.
jazz. She's a
Because
jazz
we
singer.
all grew up listening to her when we listened to classic rock.
Well, I bought 3 of her albums in a row. I'm a fan of
I
her,
think she belongs there.
but I never think that I'm listening to rock and roll when I listen to her. That's
Well,
another.
I don't go, oh, this
Yeah.
isn't. I don't think that. I just think I'm listening to great music.
Right.
I'm not going. Oh,
But to say, and there's no doubt that she got heavy rotation at a time that a lot of rockers were still getting heavy rotation, and she competed well against those rockers. There's no doubt about it. Matter of fact, her competing so well that she made me a fan of her.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But at the same time, so did Sammy Davis Jr. with the Candyman. He got a lot of rotation on that song.
Yeah. Yeah. I just.
Smooth Operator, Candyman.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't see Sammy Davis Jr. really in the Rock and Roll Hall.
But that's the problem, see?
They have no other category to go to.
Right.
Today.
Well, and, you know, I think there might even be a visual thing. You know, Sade even has, because when the Miami Sound Machine came along, the well-dressed, coiffed woman lead singer took on...
Gloria Estefan.
Yeah, took on a prominence. And so when Sade would come out, she had that same kind of presence, and maybe there's this underlying psychological reason why people are tempted to vote her in. I'm a fan of her. You know I'm a fan of her. I'll never turn her off.
I love Gloria Estefan and
Oh, I do too.
Miami Sound Machine.
Yeah, I do too.
I love Latin flavor.
Yeah.
You know, Santana.
Yeah.
Sade, like you said.
Yeah. And the Miami Sound Machine, to me, would be eligible for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I have no problem with them, but Sade's a slight left turn.
Well,
where's the fences, Henry? The horses are escaping and the fences are down.
Yes.
It's the horses that are coming in that really scare me, Henry.
People need to push for an appropriate Hall of Fame. People like us. Yes, like classic rockers, because, you know, we end up really classifying it. Yes, because, you know, we call it heavy metal or hard rock or soft rock or pop rock or country rock.
What about Rick Rubin?
Yeah.
I'd put him in, and as a producer.
Yeah.
You know, I don't always like him.
Yeah, I would too. Don't always like him either, but
I have my criticisms.
I think he's earned his.
But I mean, I don't always like Roger Waters.
Yeah.
But he better be in the freaking Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
I always like his music, though.
Yeah.
His politics are not my politics.
I have no trouble. I think Rick Rubin. I think there are other producers that should be there before him.
Yeah.
He's at the top of his game, even.
Like who? Who do you think should be?
Well, I don't know. They might even be in, but I certainly would. Jimmy Page.
Jimmy Page.
For what he did with Led Zeppelin. Of course, George Martin. He probably already is in. I would imagine.
Gonna say George Martin.
Well, you have to.
I know he's your
You have to. Phil Spector. I'm sure he's already in.
He is like the giant.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, Joseph Blue just came in with a
Hey, Joseph.
thing.
Oh, thank you, brother.
Thank you so much, Joseph.
And what did he give us? And can you read it for me?
He came in with a $5 super thanks, and Joseph says, Beyond Bowie, he said Vandross sang background vocals,
Mm-hmm.
including Ringo Starr, like "Drowning in the Sea of Love"
Yeah.
and Carly Simon and the J. Oh, I love the Jay Giles band, Joseph. I love
Oh,
the
me
Jay
too.
Giles
Yeah, yeah.
band.
And
Yeah.
I knew that. I think I even covered that at
Okay,
one
Carly
spot.
Simon.
Yeah, he's got some rock cred as a background singer.
Yeah,
Okay.
very
Uh,
much.
a lot of those he'd get them at the last second too, because he was replacing a guy who replaced a guy who replaced a guy. I mean, the life of being a background singer in rock and roll.
Yeah.
Boy,
Well,
you want to talk about the true gypsies of rock.
well, what about the Wrecking Crew? You know, talk
Yeah.
about the true.
Yeah, no, but I'm talking about people who, the majority of the money they make is getting connected to a great act that's touring,
I know.
okay, and that they are making top dollar
Yeah.
for that. And if they can then connect to some hot club appearances when those same cool acts play these high plush gigs,
Yeah.
and it's cutthroat. It's
Yeah,
absolutely cutthroat
yeah.
because everybody, look at what came out. First of all, Luther has a fantastic voice.
Oh my God, his
Okay,
voice
I
is so
I didn't
sassy.
care for his style. I didn't buy his material,
I
but
don't
I
like
I
all
heard
of
what
it,
I felt
but
people might. I would hear him and I go, I think a lot of people would like that. You know.
I am the Doctor 82 said I want Lawrence Welkin.
A
Oh no 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 no.
one and a two and a three.
And Caitlin said she wants the monkeys.
Yeah, I do too.
I agree, Caitlin.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's my one guilty
Oh,
pleasure.
hey for the monkeys.
Yeah, yeah.
Love
Yeah.
them.
Yeah, they and there's an argument both pro and against the monkeys, and the truth lies
Who
with
would be against a monkey?
well, they were just a fake band. They didn't play their own
No, they're
instruments.
iconic.
The only thing about them on the records, for the most part, was just their voices. Okay, that's going to be the first thing out of critics' mouth,
Carly
and there was some
Coppola,
truth to that.
she says you might as well put in Eddie Fisher and Debbie Reynolds.
Oh God, yeah, there you go. Good one, Carly. I
Good
love
one,
that.
Carly.
Yeah, I love that.
Yep.
No, and all these people are fantastic singers in their own right.
Oh yeah, in their own right.
My
Yeah.
longtime viewers know I love Sinatra. Okay,
Yeah.
I love Dean Martin even.
My
God,
grandma loved Lawrence Welk.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Tony Bennett.
And Tony Bennett.
Yeah, and
what was it? I left my heart in San Francisco.
oh,
Yeah, because I mean, San Francisco is
Yeah.
our city. It's the city that rocks, the city that never stops.
well, it used to be.
Yeah, that's for sure.
I wouldn't give you 2 cents for
Now
the
it's
damn
a city
town
of
now.
shit.
Yeah. Not if Norman Maslov was talking about that damn death trap, but
Okay,
anyway.
now that's enough of that.
Okay, all right, sorry. But it's true, I wasn't raised in the city. I just visited it like it was my backyard.
Well, that's exactly right.
And I remember it being very cool, and it's not as. And then the last time that we went to go see,
Cow Palace.
yeah,
Yeah, the concerts at the Cow
Yeah.
Palace, and
oh God,
yeah, and what's the one we went to see? With Rachel. Oh,
Moscone Center.
what
Went
was
to
that?
go see Greta Van Fleet.
No, the one before that.
Oh, at the theater,
Yeah.
Donovan.
What was that theater called?
I forget the name of the theater, but it was
Yeah,
Donovan.
But it's a well-known theater.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a good show. I mean, Donovan just came out with his acoustic guitar.
Yeah.
He had some throw rugs, psychedelic throw rugs
Yeah,
up
but
there.
it was fun.
And he just talked, I'd say 3/4, he'd do a song on his acoustic guitar. Sometimes you felt like, Jesus, I really need Sunshine Superman to sound a little different than just the acoustic guitar. But,
No,
it was great to hear him do it and
acoustic
everything.
guitar, so.
Yeah, I do too. But, there are better, some of his stuff has to be acoustic. La Leña.
Joseph Blue says the Partridge Family. David Cassidy and Shirley Jones.
Yeah, well, they were the only ones out of the
Yeah,
so-called
yeah.
Partridge Family that were actually on the
Cowsills,
records.
Al Bell.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Well, the Cowsills were supposed to be, that's what the Partridge Family was supposed to be.
Yeah,
They
that's
were
right.
supposed to get the gig,
Yeah.
and I forget what happened, but anyway, they decided to hire professional actors,
Yeah.
rather than,
The mamas and the
you know,
papas.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I love the Cowsills,
Yeah, me too.
you know.
Yep.
I thought they were a great pop rock
Oh,
act, kind of.
great music, great
Yeah,
memories.
yeah. Yeah, Graham Parsons, you're not going to get an argument from me there. I
No.
think his pedigree is well
Oh
established.
yeah.
Oasis, yes, of course.
Oh yeah, Oasis, great.
Yeah, absolutely. And then it talks about
Rockin' Robin Bird said, "How about Tiny Tim?"
what's that?
Rockin' Robin Bird said, "How about Tiny Tim?"
Um, that you could say there's another one of those songs that were so embraced by the counterculture.
I think B Still
Yeah.
BX is poking at you. He says he loves the Beatles almost as much as the Monkees. Oh my goodness, yeah, that's a good one, Beast.
Believe it or not, I know folks, or I've known folks in the past that like the Monkees a lot better than the Beatles.
Well,
You know?
I was a kid when the Beatles came out, so the Monkees were more, my style. My
Yeah.
brother was the one my older brother was into the Beatles. I was still listening to what's his name and his sister, the Osmonds,
Yeah.
and Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
With the Jackson Five.
No, the Monkees at first was the brainchild of what was his name? The producer who was.
Ness?
No, he's the producer. He had a zillion shows, and his name would be on it. Presents the. Anyway, he's
Yeah.
well known.
Yeah.
I'm just not thinking of him. Somebody type it into the comments. Don Kirshner.
Okay.
Okay. And Don Kirshner's kind of his thing. He got kicked out of it pretty quick, but his idea was to hire the very best and quickest musicians. A lot of them were from the Wrecking Crew. Get the best writers, get the best of the best writers, and best songs of the best writers.
Yeah.
So you had songs from Boyce and Hart. You had songs from oh God, what's his name? We both love him. Holly Holy.
Oh yeah.
I'm just not
Neil Diamond.
Neil Diamond,
Yeah,
right?
Neil
He wrote
Diamond.
for the Monkees. So you got the best songs, the best musicians. Then they came in. They could sing. They looked, very, what every little teen girl wanted to her boyfriend to look like. They had the gambit. You had the cute Davy. You had the gangly Michael, who's tall. For those girls who like the tall ones, Of course, Mickey, the cut up. And
They
the
were like one of the first boy bands, weren't they?
well,
Yeah.
well. When I think of boy bands, number one is, working out in a warehouse to,
Backstreet Boys.
yeah, to, 10,000 step dances
Yeah.
Uh,
They were cool. I liked them.
with mics clipped to their face that aren't even turned on
like
because
the
they're all lip syncing to what's coming over
like
the,
the Everly Brothers.
Yeah.
You know.
well,
Yeah.
you know. But there was a mass production to them. I could see people going, oh, come on. But then they started, first of all, two of them were musicians, okay?
Yeah.
And Mickey learned to play the drums very quickly. Now, he wasn't one of the greatest drummers on the planet, but he could hold the beat and everything. And when they finally did tour, they did play their music. They started writing. Michael would always get, or at least on a couple albums, got like one song an album, was it? Or did he actually get one side and everything? And later when they broke up, Michael came out with the song Joanne. I loved that song.
Yeah.
So they had at least one great songwriter in the group and others who wanted to write songs. They got together and stuff. And there's an argument they are the Pinocchio rock band of all time.
Yeah.
Pinocchio's fondest wish was to become a real boy.
Well.
I want to be a real boy.
Yeah.
And the Monkees wanted to be a real band.
Yeah.
And they accomplished that. So that's historical. Their show is historical, right? It melds in real well. John Lennon even liked them and said, look, if you miss the Beatles, you've got the Monkees. You know, if you miss the cuddly mop tops that we once were, and his hair was hanging down to, you know, past his shoulders at that point, wearing granny glasses, right?
Yeah.
He goes, if you want that, the Monkees are out there. They're great.
Al
You know?
said Monkees had some of the best songs, and I agree.
Yeah.
I agree, because that was my speed at that age.
Right,
Yeah, I was like 11 or 10 or 11.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Um,
Yeah. It's amazing. It is absolutely amazing that you know that we get some of the talent that we get despite all of the crap that goes on in the music industry.
I know.
You know, we're taking a look at this list. I was just looking at it. Fela Kuti. Yeah, there's a flavor of the month for you. The only reason that most people in rock and roll even know about him. Now you watch, every worm out of the country will come out. No, I saw him in a small club and I never heard of his name and he blew me away. Okay, if you discovered him that way, more power to you, and you know what you're talking about, and I don't. And I've heard some of his stuff, very talented, but he's about as rock and roll as my Aunt Petunia's left
Well, you know
pimple
what?
on her saggy old ass.
Rockin' Robin Bird said, Dr. Demento fish heads. She said, just saying, better than Mariah Carey. That's funny, Rockin' Robin Bird.
I go with fish heads anytime.
Yeah,
Fish heads,
well,
fish heads, roly poly.
I still
Yeah,
love Mariah Carey.
yeah,
so,
yeah.
Neener, neener.
I love that comment.
Yeah.
Fish heads. Well, now Fela Kuti, a very talented musician, but isn't this the same? Now remember, we talked about who was it? Where I go, oh, Ed Sullivan. Okay. Well, his history is he could be quite censor bands. He was, and they were nothing but animals. You know.
That's because he cared about
To
the
hire.
ratings. The ratings
Right.
were everything, remember?
Right. Okay. So,
he had to
but,
keep it-
and I understand it's his show. He can have anybody on, but why would the very organization that honors rock and roll turn around and honor
censor
him
him.
after he wasn't very honorable to some of our greatest rock gods?
Yeah, that's a good question. Huh?
Okay. So
Why?
with that question in mind, why would we? Because I bet you 90% of you have heard of Fela Kuti through knowing Paul McCartney and the history behind Band on the Run, because Paul McCartney recorded that in Lagos, Africa, and Fela Kuti got a hold of Paul McCartney
Yeah.
and demanded to hear his music because you are here to steal our African, our culture, our music. And Paul played him for him. He goes, now is that anything from Africa? And he says, I even played Mamunia on there. I was a little worried about that. He goes, no, I can see you're okay. All right, Mr. Critic, Fela.
How about Ebenezer?
Wait a minute,
Scrooge?
buddy. You collared a Beatle? You questioned his integrity? One of our greatest rock gods on the planet.
How dare he? Yeah.
You criticized him as stealing from you, your country, and everything?
Oh, they just wanted to get some airplay, you know. Controversy is good for.
Well, you and I know that, but we're playing it for the crowd, baby.
Yeah.
Of course.
Good.
Well, that's all he's fucking doing.
Good press or bad press, it's all press. Yeah.
No, I'm serious. Why would the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame honor that guy
Yeah.
when he's Mr. Isolationist? He doesn't want everybody in the same basket when it's his basket, but now he's fucking coming into our basket?
Because they go along with this politically correct atmosphere.
Bullshit.
And that's the problem with the Rock and Roll Hall
Yeah.
of Fame. That isn't the problem.
Yep. Yep, I agree.
They need to keep politics completely out
Yeah,
of music.
I can see that the camera has slipped here, and I don't know how to fix it, folks. Sorry. There we go. That's a little better. Did I pull on this? I'll bet you I pulled on this. So sorry. I wonder how long that's been going. You cockeyed, Wilma.
You finally did it. I did it the last time.
Yeah. What are we gonna do, Gertrude?
Did you call me Wilma now?
Mildred.
Mildred.
I didn't
Wilma?
call you late for dinner.
Yeah. No, 'cause
Does that count?
I make dinner.
Yeah. So we've got, it's this whole thing going on here, folks. All right, Joy Division, New Order. I like New Order better than Joy Division. I never caught up with them. I wasn't into the punk scene at all. Closest I ever got to it, and people go, "That's not the punk. That's not punk." Was the Clash and the Police. They had draws to that era. I wasn't part of this. New Order, I just listened to some of their newest stuff, and it sounds okay. Yeah, I'm all right with them. Everybody wants punk in.
Carly is right. She says they will never keep politics out of rock and roll.
No.
And that's exactly right.
Right. And I don't expect them to, but I don't expect politics to get into the award system, right? Now, Iron Maiden, they're saying they're not going. Caitlin covered this a little bit on her show today.
Caitlin's Magical Corner.
Yeah. And they're official, and they've got a spokesman that I didn't recognize his name, and I read the same thing, Caitlin, where he's going, "We're so thrilled to be inducted, and we're so happy, and congratulations to our fellow inductees." All I can tell you, it wasn't Bruce Dickinson that said that.
Yeah.
Okay, I can guarantee you that.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't him. Because he said the whole thing's full of bullocks.
He wanted to tell them where to go, didn't he?
Yeah.
You can take your trophy and...
He's compared them to sweaty balls, baby.
Yeah, well...
No, that's what he...
You know what?
You know?
And if the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame can tout their, baloney, so can the musicians.
Right.
Absolutely.
Now they say, well, we're touring in Europe. We can't do that. Like bands haven't a million times. And I didn't have time to see if they had ever canceled the show. But if you're a rock band, been around for any time, shows get canceled. And then, we'll be back next week. And your ticket will be available for that. So if they had any kind of respect for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, they could still make it,
No, they don't have it.
Well, Bruce Dickinson doesn't give a shit if the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame blows itself up in an atomic furnace. Iron Maiden doesn't give a shit about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
That's what they created.
Right.
A lack of respect for it. It's like, you're nothing special.
Right.
Right. You guys play games.
Right.
Yeah.
So, Iron Maiden, to me, they're the heroes. But now's the time to make a big statement. And is this their manager? I forgot to look it up before coming up. I didn't recognize the name as representing Iron Maiden. And doesn't sound a bit like, Iron Maiden. It's kind of like that Beatle movie where, one of the assassins trying to get the ring from Ringo is on the phone, and he's going, I need to talk to Ringo, and the head of Scotland Yard goes, I'll answer the phone. I'm pretty good at imitating people, Cagney and the things and such. He goes, "Hello, Gil Fab. This is Ringo Gil Fab. How you doing, Gil Fab?" And then all of a sudden this arrow comes up and almost, takes his head off and everything. And George Riley looks at him and goes, "Doesn't sound a bit like Cagney."
Yeah.
Yeah. But some of this is just it's nonsensical. Billy Idol deserves in. We're running out of time here, folks. I've been going for a ton of time here. But Phil Collins deserves to be in. I wouldn't give you 2 cents for Linda Creed, Celia Cruz. We all know why they were added. No scuttlebutt about them at the beginning. All in all, the best thing I can say about looking at this page is the wonderful in memoriam that they've got about Dave Mason and the learn more on him. They do him up fine. I do want to give everybody they've got some great, his traffic acceptance speech you can watch here. Dave Matthews inducts traffic. You can watch him playing Dear Mr. Fantasy. Uh, wow. So they've got some stuff here that you can look up. And I don't do a whole lot of announcing of rock and roll deaths. I do from time to time.
Well, the big ones.
Yeah. And I have often done one at the end of the year where I'll do, photos and provide music for it.
Yeah.
These are the ones that have passed. I do that like at the end of the year. But
we need to keep these guys in the public
right.
Sphere for the young people. I mean, a lot of them don't know what they're missing.
Well, and
they got so into the rap revolution.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and I hear that. And I honestly, I want to say this.
They do all that sampling. Between rock and rap and.
Yeah.
And I like some of it. I know you're a purist, so I know you don't care for that, but.
I don't know that I'm a purist, because if we really got down to it, Michael Boswell seems to think I'm a purist.
Yeah.
There is a purism drive in me, but
Michael Boswell's not here tonight. Where are you, Michael?
Well, he'll catch me on the flip side. He'll let me know what I think, because sometimes he can't make it, and but he's always good to catch it on the replay.
Yeah, he really holds you to account.
Yeah, because we don't.
Like that.
Yeah. I mean, and anytime I've got a chance to open my mouth for almost 2 hours now, folks.
Yeah.
Michael goes, that's like, I don't know, that's like honey for the biscuit for him, because Michael will hang himself at least 2 or 3 times during that time period. But no, I'm seeing what they want this to be is they want us all to have a hive mindset, that there's no room for outliers. Remember what rock and roll was to begin with.
I know.
It comes from a blues term, rock and roll. Yeah. When a man and woman rocks and rolls all night, they're having sex.
Like Buddy Holly. Yeah.
Rock and roll means sex.
Rocking and rolling.
At a time, they chose that because that was at a time that you did not talk about 2 human beings having sex in the title of the style of music that you purported to create. That was unheard of. That alone made it an outlier that proper Christians just don't listen to. And by the way, make sure all the grandchildren are accounted for, and that they're not off and in mixed companies, right? I mean, that's where we were at one point. It can be said, not everybody, but there was this wide swath, and it sure was being sold to us on Leave It to Beaver, Father Knows Best, Make Room for Daddy, right? We all knew what was right and wrong, and rock and roll was a dirty little joke. And then it became a sound based on the blues. Royce and I have both said this in the past. Rock and roll has to have a blues based or a blues inspiration to it. Even bands like, yes, progressive bands like ELP, all right, all of them will occasionally ground to the blues. Just to let you know, yeah, we're rock, but now we're going Beethoven, baby.
Yeah.
Okay? And I have all kinds of room for that.
Interpret rock and roll.
Right.
In their own way.
Right.
And so you do get some,
right.
Some of the stuff that is more romantic and slow, or ballads,
well, if rock and roll was a house, it'd be a manor with many, many, many rooms.
That's right.
But it would also be well maintained, and
Many mansions.
you just don't let the riffraff in.
Yeah. Well, the riffraff.
Hobos go on down.
riffraff.
The hobos go on down to the next door down.
Yeah.
We got bouncers for them there kind of folk, you know. And to me, it's everybody's gonna go, oh no, now he's talking about the homeless. No, I'm talking about hobos. Okay, big difference. Quit rewriting history. All right, there'd be people who'd ride the rails. It was their lifestyle. They have a right to do that, just like every household had a right to entertain them, feed them a meal, or not. Okay, back then they would have gone, sorry to have bothered you, and moved to the next house. Most of them. Some of them were murderous killers. There's a reason they're riding the rails, right? But we come from that time period. But in this big house, you have to maintain it.
Yeah.
The grounds must be maintained for it to maintain its integrity, its structural integrity, and the beauty, the facades, that things like prog rock or punk rock or country rock or jazz rock. See, I have no troubles with that.
Yeah.
Okay? There's even a couple of bands I might include that have hip hop built within, but there's enough rock in the music. I just haven't heard them yet. I'm sure they're out there, but I could see that. But they'd have to be more rock than rap for me to dig it, right? And a whole lot of you agree with me as far as the purity of rock and roll. We're not cutting down other styles. Thank you, bastard.
Oh boy. Oh
Yeah.
boy.
The punks have arrived, baby.
Just
Boom, boom. Anyway,
Just kids having fun.
is that what you call
Yeah.
them? Yeah?
Yeah.
They better not get on my lawn,
Kids will be kids.
or I'll start screaming at the clouds, baby. But anyway, so anyway, to me, there has to be some integrity to that. There's nothing weak about saying what isn't rock and roll. It doesn't cut rap down. If rap's your gig, more power to you. Have a rap Hall of Fame. I'm sure they've got to have one.
Yeah.
Hip hop, same thing.
Well, yeah, it would be one category, rap and hip hop.
Besides, I thought that's what the Grammys were for anyway.
Well,
Don't even get me started about the Grammys. But see, I've not done anything on the Grammys mainly because I've hated the Grammys from the time I was a kid. And the Beatles couldn't get on, Paul McCartney couldn't get on, anybody I liked couldn't get on, and it was like, okay, yeah, this isn't my thing at all. The Grammys don't mean shit to me.
No, I've never been into idolizing, you know, actors and actresses. And
Yeah. Well,
I've never been into it, but
there was a time I was very into the Academy
Yeah.
Awards. I'm a film buff, as you know.
yeah.
Yeah,
I know you are very much.
and then I saw, now you have you
much
can't
as
even
you
make
are.
a movie unless you have a certain percentage of people from this community, that community, this
yeah.
community. Can't even get the
Nationality.
films made anymore. I am
Yeah.
done with it.
Yeah, I know. That's a shame because
Fuck Hollywood.
that's what divides us as people.
I'm done with
Making
Hollywood.
things about your nationality,
Yeah.
it is something that you had nothing to do with. It's
Yeah.
not an accomplishment.
Well, most of them dumbass actors that spent more time in drama than actually becoming good enough. They failed math half the time and stuff. Now they're going to tell us how to solve the world's problems.
Yeah, and I don't.
Why? Because
I don't
you
worship the world of.
you read some book
Hollywood.
Oprah told
Yeah.
you to read?
Yeah.
Is that what enlightened you, baby?
Yeah.
Because frankly, what's coming out of your mouth is dribble these days. And people have had enough. You can't even keep yourself sober or clean from drugs. And you want to sit here and
Devil
complain
worship.
about the rest of the planet.
Yeah. No, there's no sense of morality.
What bones are in your closet? But please tell us how to live our lives. And the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame has renegotiated what rock and roll is. They think, not while I'm alive, not on my freaking watch, not on the tribe's watch. We're going to fight this all the way. We've got our own damn Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and I'll compare our list to theirs any day of the year. Right?
Yep, the tribe has spoken.
I agree.
Yep.
I agree. And for those of you who have disagreed with anything that I've said tonight, I respect it.
Yeah.
It's cool. I'm just giving you the square on as I see it. And if enough of you disagree with me in the comments and everything, I never ask for anybody to agree with my points of view. I'm just the spark that starts the conversation. But I can tell you, a whole lot of you that are viewing right now, I know, I've been in contact with you, your comments over the last 4 years, many of you, right, that will never miss these streams and or videos I do on this. And I would have to say a good 85% of you that bother to watch my videos agree that at the very least, there is trouble in River City when you're talking about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Man, I love it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, folks, that's the stream for tonight. Boy, we're coming right up on 2 hours. Like I said, the channel, did we maintain that? I can't tell. If we maintain the 4, it'll be established by, the next couple hours and everything. I want to welcome all you brand new viewers, new tribal members. All right, what we got going on over here, there's drama. We talked about stuff that wasn't exactly easy to go down tonight, or you might not have cared about this or that, but there's plenty of people here that would probably agree with you that Michael's off his rocker, okay, on certain things. That's not, see, I'm not here to get a bunch of people who agree with me. I'm trying to start a dialogue.
That's right. This is
right?
a forum. This is the tribal forum.
And you have been known to change my mind. You've seen me change my mind not 3 streams ago regarding my hard set rules regarding avatar shows. And that was in direct contact with Michael. What did I finally come up with? I basically said if it's maintained as this special show, even if it's toured, and you have to go to this place to watch it, and and it's got certain constrictions. In other words, it's not an arena because they don't have the equipment to man that kind of show. There'd be no reason to, right? Unless the avatars became 90 feet tall or whatever. Who knows what's for the future? But you go to a smaller venue to watch this, you could swear you were there. That's like Pirates of the Caribbean. I'm all in for being entertained. And I would be more comfortable with it if it was shows where the artist had passed away, when they're still alive and everything. To me, the Avatar shows are a capture of a moment or various moments in time. I know we'll get an Avatar show with the Beatles. There'll be the early Beatles, Act 1, Act 2, the mid-Beatles, Act 3, the psychedelic, Act 4, the final, here we are on the rooftop. And we'll get that. It's coming. All of that's coming. Kiss is coming. And we'll see. I want to see how these shows. Michael's spoken highly of the ABBA Avatar show. I haven't seen it. I've seen little blurbs of it. It looks okay. I just don't see myself in that arena. I don't see and I love ABBA as a pop band. I always thought they were cool, right? Like I said, I love good pop rock, right? So I'm into that. That'd be cool. But it's not like I would plan a vacation around it or anything. I'm such a ABBA fan. But if I was in town and they had the Avatar on show, and it didn't cost an arm and a leg, and I needed somewhere to go before we went out to dinner, I'd probably go and enjoy the damn thing. I'm all into visual effects and everything. I love great science fiction movies with great special effects. So it's not like I'm anti-entertainment, but I don't want anything getting in the way See, rock and roll must live. That was Paul Rogers' first statement, who was nominated last year, quite against a lot of his previous statements. That's why I'm watching Bruce Dickinson here and Iron Maiden and how they're going to handle this, right? Their first responses are a little pussy willow to me, all right? Iron Maiden said that? Iron Maiden? I don't know. Wow, that was awfully nice to a group of fellow nominees, of which I've heavily criticized 5 or 6 of them tonight. At least 5 or 6. And those that are nominees, some of them shouldn't be in before, we didn't even have time. I had a whole list I could read of 150 bands or artists that are not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I've had that list for the last 3 years, and I think there's 5 people in the last 3 years that I would have to take off that list that made it, finally. I think Peter Frampton was one of them, as I recall. Okay? So, as years go by, I'm not even going to say, well, this year's better than last year. Because here's what this year is. It ain't good enough. It's half-assed. And it goes further into establishing what John Sykes, whose sole mission from Granddaddy Jan Winter is to redefine rock and roll, use the power of the name of rock and roll to empower, and it can even be said, who was it just did an interview? Yeah, it was John Cougar. Well, Mellencamp, John Mellencamp. And he said that they on purpose got rid of rock and roll overnight on purpose. The entire industry went out after it, starting with MTV and all the record companies and everything. Overnight, rock and roll was not the videos and the music that you heard on the radio. And it was killed on purpose by the music industry themselves. Just recently said that, folks. And they did it with the help of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. This isn't, we're doing the best we can, Daddy. This is, we're changing your fucking reality.
Yeah,
doofus.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
And you better get with the program.
Yep.
Or die already.
You better get with AI.
Yeah. Or die already. You know, it's like some of them just can't wait till us older rock fans pass on. You know, just die already.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Right? Well, enough younger folks will listen to the few of us that are still speaking out against cretins like you, Jan and John. And they'll take up the mantle. There's always a new generation. You know? You just need to be young and boheme enough, and not the new bohemians. Right? They're so metrosexualized, I can't deal with them. I'm talking about the real bohemians, the real artisans, the real living on the edge. Had to get an Aerosmith reference in there one way or another for Caitlin. Living on the edge. All right, folks, because really that's what we're doing. We're living on the edge. It's like a razor blade, right? One false step and it's to our doom. Because by broadening the definition.
Yeah, they are.
Right?
They are.
It's like tight roping on a razor blade for the casual fan.
It's diluting it. It's making it less.
It cuts. Yeah. Cuts right into your feet. Cuts right into your feet. And it hurts. All right, folks. I love y'all. I had a great time tonight. It has been...
I had a great time too.
We actually got 2 streams in a row.
Yeah.
With no interruptions and stuff. Yeah, my camera went tilt. That's going to drive... When I review this stream, that's going to drive me up a wall.
Oh, no.
You know me. I just can't deal with it. No, not the tilted camera effect. Okay, folks. Let's see. I've got I've got a couple of videos I've got to get out before I see you next, and I'll see you on Sunday at 5 p.m. I always stream on 5 p.m. On Sundays and Wednesdays, and that's 5 p.m. PST, Pacific Standard Time. I'm out here in the Big Valley of California on the West Coast, United States, Western Hemisphere. And so a lot of you guys are seeing me at different times, different days, right this minute. For some of you, this is tomorrow. For some of you, this is late tonight. And the sun is still out in my local community, all right, or my local area. So, like I said, we are global. And I appreciate every single one of you new subscribers. Let's see, where did we hit? We hit 61 thumbs up. That meant we got a larger audience.
Awesome.
I know at one point we did have a larger audience. I've been dribbling here, so people are faltering off. They go, "You just don't know when to say goodbye, Michael." They got a point.
Yeah.
You go, "I've often thought that myself, Michael."
Yeah.
God, people, if you could only, watch me listen to him tell another Beatles story and take 42 minutes to explain why Paul isn't dead. Anyway, all right, folks, I'll see you on my next stream on Sunday night, but probably before that. You got anything else to say before we sign off, baby?
No, I think we covered it tonight.
Yeah? Had a good crowd in.
Yeah.
We really
Great.
did.
I love the.
Hey, Dalek, I see you there. Scott Walters, I see you. Rockin' Robin Bird, of course.
Aw,
Joseph
BFF,
Blue.
We love you, Michael.
Oh, God.
Aw, we
Love all of you.
back.
Joseph Blue, you made some great points tonight. Crispy. Are you the Crispy from Rachel's? If so, how are you doing? From way back. Way back. It's good to see you in. Carly, of course. Al Val is in. Mark Nilsson. Royce, my buddy, is in. I've already talked about Scott Walters is in. So many of you. If I keep going, I'm going to lose the thread here. I'm the Doctor is in. That's cool. Miss Ben Lane, longtime commenter. Good to see you, Miss Ben Lane. Very long time commenter on the channel. Been with me a long
that's
time.
awesome.
Yeah. Let's see, who else do we have? We've got Kate, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you guys have been a great crowd here.
Bird,
Wow.
Beast,
Yeah.
Scott Walters.
All right,
Dr.
folks.
Rick.
Dr. Rick, yep.
Yeah.
Doc Insomnia, he wasn't sure. Did he make it?
He was in some of it.
Some of
earlier
it,
on.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a
He has to usually work and.
iffy situation. It all depends on the workflow because he works in the delivery system and everything. It depends, There are times when he even has a good idea. Oh, I might be able to actually make it tonight. This time we don't usually get this much traffic going in. But sometimes he just gets waylaid and he has to stay. He's not off when the stream starts. But he usually checks in on the replay. Folks, if you see this on the replay, I'll say this one more time and then I'll shut down. Give it another thumbs up. We are right now 36 away from getting yet another bump up. That way more people see the stream, okay? And that's good for growth for the channel and everything else. And it's good for you guys. You get to meet new people and everything. So I always appreciate it when you go the extra distance and do that. It sounds like the vast majority of you gave us thumbs up tonight. I appreciate it. And if you're watching this secondarily, do so again. I appreciate it. All right, folks, I'll see you Sunday, if not sooner. Night.